Well, hi guys, I'm at the National Hamfest. I'm here with Hans Summers.
Good morning, good afternoon rather, sorry.
Well, sometime in the day, depends when they listen.
It's been a long weekend.
Yeah, I've been trying to get this interview with Hans since yesterday morning, and every time I've come by the stand, it's been absolutely manic. You've got some terrific products on the show here today, and this CW kit that does CW and more that you produced for the RSGB JOTA 2017 is really flying off the stand like hotcakes, isn't it, Hans?
It is. So now we've launched this on the 21st of August and we've had over 1,300 orders to date. It's just been crazy. And we originally made 500 in the first batch, so I've had to make 2 more batches, 1,000 more kits, and they're still selling.
So, you know, this is it's almost a runaway success, this particular product, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think it's fair to say that you could have asked for double, maybe 3 times the amount of money for the functionality. Do you want to run our listeners by the functionality built into this particular kit?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It could easily have gone for triple the price. But I believe in fair pricing, and I like to spread as many kits around as I can, and people enjoy that. So it's a high-performance receiver, a high-performance transmitter, Class E PA, so it doesn't require a heatsink. The receiver itself uses a quadrature sampling detector like most SDR front-end receivers. Very high dynamic range, very high IP3. I have already reports from people who've built them and say it's giving the weak signals just the same as Yaesu or ICM or Kenwood. So it's all analog, it's not SDR, it's all analog, but it's all helped along by the microprocessor, which is an Atmega 328, the same processor used in the popular Arduino series of boards. And that lets you squeeze in tons and tons of functionality. So I've put dual VFO, split operation, RIT. There are 12 message presets, 16 frequency presets. There's a keyer built in, CW decoder built in. A very important feature is it has all its own alignment and test equipment built in as well. So it's a signal generator which will inject a signal back into the front end, which you use to align the bandpass filter very, very simply. So it takes a few minutes to set up and align without any additional test equipment at all. It's easy to build, it's all through-hole components. A lot of people do not like solid surface mount components. There are 2 surface mount components, chips, but they're already soldered on the board by the PCB factory. So it's quite easy to build. Proof of that, it was built by 90 young people in the RSGB JOTA summer camp that was hosted this August in the UK. And I had very great feedback from those guys. They really enjoyed it. People said it was a highlight of the event, building this kit. It's very nice to perform on air. It's very nice to use. It has full QSK or semi-QSK mode, the keyer, the decoder, all the features, the test equipment built in, signal generator. You can configure it to show a battery icon on the screen if you want to use it for portable operation. So I think, yeah, there's a ton of functionality in this thing at a very low price, and that explains why I'm so busy at the moment.
It certainly does, Hans. I mean, I was at JOTA and I watched a number of the youngsters there build these, and some of them had never built kits before, and they were sitting there quite happily working in groups. And all right, the one for JOTA 17 was they had a 17 meters version, which I think you advised them against, but this will work on other bands, won't it?
Yes, it's working on 80 meters, 60, 40, 30, 20 or 17. So when you buy it, you specify your choice of band. 40 seems most popular, 20 meters is also very popular. I'm going to also test it on 12, 15 and 10 meters, so in future I should be making those available as well. So it is a single band kit, which is determined by how many turns on the torage you put and the components you fit, but available for any of those bands down to 80 meters. The assembly is very easy. It's all through-hole components, and there's 138 pages in the instruction manual, step by step, so people don't seem to have any difficulty with it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen your instruction manual, and I've also seen it here on the stand, and in fairness, if you can't build it, there's something seriously wrong with you, because there's pictures of everything you need to do, the components you're fitting, you label it all up, It is step by step. It's probably easier than the Heathkit manuals that us older ones remember. It's very, very well laid out, so I'm really impressed.
Yeah, I had quite a lot of good feedback, and other people have also compared with Heathkit and said it's better than that. So I suppose these days we have more luxuries with digital word processing, photo editing and so on, so we can do a better job than Heathkit could do. The few problems I've heard of with construction does not come from people who are inexperienced builders. It comes from the other end of the spectrum. People are experienced builders, and they skip reading bits of the instruction manual which are important. And that's why early on in the manual, I write there, don't be a hero. Even if you're an experienced constructor, read the steps and follow them and understand them. Don't be a hero and try and do it without reading instructions. So I think people are a danger to themselves, and usually the problems are by the more experienced constructors, not the less experienced ones.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think one of the things is that when you get a new kit, a lot of people, it's almost a race to get it finished. They rush. And when I build kits, I like to just sit back and take my time, and I think it's actually as much enjoyment out of building it than it is to rush. And so I enjoy the quiet time to sit and build it. But the sense of achievement when you get a kit like this on the air and you start receiving things and you start getting it on the air far outweighs buying a black box.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I have a tremendous satisfaction every time I use this now. I've operated the 40 meter, 20 meter and 17 meter versions. I forgot to mention earlier, it has a straight key on the board itself, which is a micro switch. And people initially laugh, well, how can you use a micro switch? There's a straight key, a vertical key, but you can, and it works very well, and I haven't had any complaints about bad keying. So yes, you get a tremendous sense of satisfaction with operating something you've built yourself. There's also a very detailed section in the assembly manual about explaining how the circuit works as well, so hopefully it's educational too, and you get some idea of learning how it all gets put together.
Yeah, I was to say, that's another good thing, and I was about to mention your key, a little micro switch key, which means that, let's be honest, it was built that way obviously for the JOTA thing, so not everybody was going to have a key, but equally, if you take this mountaintop in SOTA or whatever, and you accidentally leave your key at home, or the cable breaks on your key or whatever, and you're on the mountaintop, it's not a wasted trip, is it?
Yeah, it's a very good point. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, personally, I use a straight key. I've never used a keyer, a paddle, but obviously this has the functionality. You can plug a paddle in, standard 3.5mm socket. But I like using the key on the board. It's kind of quaint way of doing it.
So that's a lovely little kit you've got in front of me, and you're selling it at the moment for £35 in the UK.
£37.
£37. Sorry, I'm robbing you £2. No, £37. My apologies. A lovely little kit. You've also got some other pieces of kit on the table. I believe these are Whisper devices.
Yeah. So originally the QRP Labs kit started off with this QRSS transmitter, which is QRSS is very weak signal, very slow speed Morse. Because of the slow speed, you get very narrow bandwidth, and that leads to a very high signal to noise ratio. So 100 milliwatts is enough to get you global coverage with such weak signals. It later evolved into a series of kits I started calling the Ultimate, and then it was Ultimate 2, Ultimate 3. We're currently Ultimate 3S, and thousands of these have been sold. I think about 4,000 in total now, the Ultimate 3 and Ultimate 3S kits. And they don't just do Whisper, they also do the other slow signal speed modes, the QRSS, FSK, CW, but also other weak signal digital modes like JT9, JT65, Pi4, Opera. The basic kit costs about £25 in UK terms, and you can then add to that by adding a relay board, more low-pass filters, so you can get it 6 bands and have it alternating between those 6 bands with different configured transmissions. You can add the GPS receiver kit, which I sell as well, which disciplines the frequency and sets the time very accurately. There's a receiver module that plugs on the back if you want to do reception as well. And there's a 5-watt PA module. So it's a very modular setup. A lot of people just start off with a £25 basic kit, and then as their fancy goes, they buy more modules. or some people start at the other end. They buy the whole set and build it all up, 6 bands, GPS, everything. We have a nice aluminium extruded case as well, which is very popular. For the vast majority of us who are not very good at hammering metal, me included. So that's been kind of the flagship product for a while, and then spin-off from that was a VFO signal generator kit, which is based on the same set of modules with different firmware, which has a coverage of 3.5 kilohertz up to 200 megahertz. That's very popular as well. There's a clock kit for shack clock, GPS disciplined, always accurate. A lot of people are using the low-pass filter modules and the band-pass filter modules in their own homebrew construction as well. I get a lot of orders just for those, because it's a nice convenient building block for your own homebrew transceiver if you're building it. So that's been the traditional line of kits for QRP Labs for the last few years since we started, but now it's really nice to kind of step into another sort of sub-market of amateur radio with a CW transceiver. And looking at, from the looks of it, it's really started off well, and hopefully will evolve into a series of new products, new product line.
Yeah, well, that sounds really great, Hans, and it's nice to see that you're still producing kits that people can actually build, because as we go more and more into black box operating, let's be fair about it, a lot of amateurs are black box operators. They never get the enjoyment of building something and seeing it work themselves. Having kits like this is just something so worthwhile for our hobby, and I think you're making it really cost effective, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, one of the wonderful things about our hobby is there's so many facets to it. You can bounce signals off the moon, you can go and climb on an island or a mountain, or you can do contesting. For me, I've always enjoyed constructing. That's always been my thing, designing and building. I think more and more people are doing it now. I think the construction went through a bad phase where it was hard to get components and everyone was buying the black boxes, but now the internet has made sharing a project with other people and finding information and finding sources of components so easy. So I think construction is really on the up, and a lot of people have been inspired by these kits to build things who hadn't previously built things. And you get a lot of people who are scared to start with. Can they manage it? But the instructions are all step by step. We have the great support from the builder community or from QRP Labs themselves, from me. So people always get it working in the end. I have a 100% working target where everyone is, I want to get their kits completely working in the end. So yeah, I think it's really becoming more popular building kits, and with the microcontrollers we can add all this functionality and add a lot of functionality which couldn't be done a couple of decades ago. So that's also really a contributing factor.
Yeah. And I suppose with the microcontroller, if you decide to add extra functionality, or if somebody wanted to, is your code open software open or not? I don't know. Sorry, I'm asking you an awkward question.
It's not an awkward question at all. I mean, it's a religious question, you could say, right? Because there are some people who believe everything should be open source, and there are others who don't. I did not go down the open source route, and there are several reasons for that. We had a bad experience a few years ago where one of the products was cloned, and after that decided not to open the source. Nowadays you get a lot of Chinese companies cloning the kits that are produced in UK or US, and so that was another risk. The other problem with open source is it's quite, you think it should be less work, but I think it ends up actually quite a lot of work, because you have to deal with a lot of people asking questions. Well, why did you code it like this? How can we do this? How can we merge back in this functionality, and so on? So it's not open source. Having said that, I do take a lot of requests from people if they want firmware enhancements, and I always consider those. The Ultimate series of kits have been through a series of firmware enhancements. I mean, it literally started off with just QRSS, and now it is a whole heap of mode. I don't even think I included them all in the list I mentioned before. And that came about by people requesting addition of this functionality, that functionality. Even the CW transceiver kit has already had some firmware updates which have got more functionality that people have requested. So we have actually on the board itself a 2x3 pin programmer header, and the firmware is not open source, but the compiled hex files are published, and so people can upgrade their own firmware. So as the new functionality is added or bugs are fixed and so on, that functionality can be installed on your own devices. You just need a simple AVR programmer. They're only about $3 including shipping from eBay, and that's good enough to do all the updates.
Well, that was a very good answer, and I'm sorry if I asked you a slightly loaded question. Hans, I've kept you a long time. There's lots of people been trying to buy these. Very quickly before we leave, give us where people can find you, and if they wanted to purchase one, where would they go?
Just go to the website at QRP-Labs.com, and everything is online. We take a PayPal payment. If you do not have a PayPal account, you can pay by credit card by selecting the PayPal guest option, and it will take you to a credit card checkout. If people don't even want to do credit card, I try to accommodate, so email me. People sometimes do a bank transfer to a UK bank account, it's fine. I've had people email me cash in the post, just banknotes, that works too. Not email, post me banknotes. So I try to accommodate that. But yes, everything is online from QRP-Labs.com, and you'll find it all online, along with all the manuals and the discussion group. All of that's on there.
So that's great news. So I'd like to thank you very, very much for your time, Hans. I know it's been a busy show. We've been trying to get hold of you for like 36 hours, but thanks for your time.
Thanks very much, it's a pleasure. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't get to speak to you yesterday. I actually didn't even leave my table for a toilet break yesterday. It was crazy. Friedrichshafen was the same in July, but worse because their show opens at 9 and closes at 6, so it was a longer day to go without a toilet break.